Cool. Well, that's really neat. And I know you're into the mythology. I've seen, your posts and, of course, your designs for the website and your labels and stuff like that. So is that so? You had said that in high school you were really interested in the mythology. So it goes back that far then?
Yeah. I mean, I was, reading Beowulf and, the Icelandic sagas and all that kind of stuff back then.
I love those, so. Yeah. It's funny, you get to reading those and people just kind of cock their heads and look at you like, like, why are you reading them? Like, because it's interesting.
Yeah. They're excellent stories.
Yeah, they are. They really are. I love the mythology. And, I was dragging home, like, big tomes on Greek mythology and stuff, and people are like, why? I'm going, because it's way cool. It's way better than, any other stories I've read. So,
better than the crap they gave you in English class if yours was anything like mine.
Yeah, well, yeah, like, okay, I could read this or Catcher in the Rye. That's an easy one.
It's like they didn't want you to like books.
Yeah, I was always carting big, giant books home from the library, so I read the mythology of the Slavs, mythology of the Greeks, mythology of the Romans, so I was always reading through that stuff.
Oh,
so that kind of sparked my interest in a lot of things. So.
I used to love reading all the old tales of the Nordic tales. Fascinated me because, again, part of my family comes from that part of the world. So I found all that really neat, and I wanted to be a Viking when I grew up. Just go around raiding and and stealing stuff, and it just sounded way cool. I was
pillaging.
Always pillaging. I wasn't so into the raping part of it, but the pillaging sounded pretty good. When we played Cowboys and Indians, I always had to be an Indian too. So you see the way this goes, But I always thought the whole going Viking and all of that. They were so much more interesting than the Europeans. The rest of the Europeans, I should say, since they're part of Europe. But the rest of the Europeans were just hanging out and farming and all of that. And these guys are like, just doing all kinds of crap that nobody else was doing. So yeah.
Yeah, they ruled Europe for a long time.
Well, and there's a good part. You look at my husband, and my husband's from English stock, and you can't tell me there are no Vikings in this man's history. He's 6'2". Well, he used to have red hair. It's mostly gray now, but red hair, strong face, big bra guy, and he's like, you could totally see him in a helmet with an axe. No problem.
Yeah. Yeah, my business partner, his family's actually from Sweden, part of his family. So
cool.
His cousins come over usually in the summer and visit. They've brought some Swedish mead over for us to try a few times.
Yeah, how is it different?
It was a dry, some sort of berry mead. It wasn't very good though. It was really oxidized.
Okay,
so
it probably didn't travel well or something,
No. Yeah. So it was just not a good sample.
Yeah. I know there's oddly enough, and I thought this was really strange, not that many meaderies in the Scandinavian countries. I've got Doug's over in the Netherlands, and then
there's hardly any there.
Yeah, and this guy, and I'm sure I'm mangling his name, so if you're listening to the recording, hon, I apologize. Kjetil Nybo is in Norway. He was the guy I was asking you about in the email. Was like, where's the mead? I'm going, it's for whatever reason, not in the Scandinavian countries. I know of one Swedish meadery, maybe two. I got to go check my notes because I saw one reference to one the other day, and I don't know if it's the same one I have in my list. But there's, I think, one in the Netherlands and possibly one in Finland. I don't know.
Yeah, there could be. I'm not sure either.
But
all the meadery, all the meaderies seem to be in Germany, England, and Eastern Europe.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in Eastern Europe. England's popping up. There are actually over a dozen in France, but you got to hunt them down because they tend to be kind of mixed in with the wineries and the cideries.
Yeah.
And the majority of them seem to be up in the part of the country. Oh, what's it called? Not Breton. Crap. Again, it's that peninsula that's closest to England. It's that piece that sticks out that's closest to England. And there's a name for that area that's escaping me at the moment. Anyway, but there's a whole. But there was Ray Daniels and a couple of other guys when they did their English tour for mead, and they wrote it up for the beer magazines. This was 20 years ago, and that was when they met. Oh hell! God, my brain is just totally on break tonight. Anyway, they met one of the guys that wrote the mead books, whose name escapes me, but he lived in a castle and he had like 60-year-old meads in his basement. Everybody's going, oh, 60-year-old meads, because of course none of us had ever seen a 60-year-old mead. So everybody was really.
Wasn't he like a colonel or something?
Yeah, and
yeah.
And I've got his book, and if my books weren't all stacked in piles all over the room, I could lay hands on it and tell you exactly the name because I have the book. But he wrote one of the early books on mead making. Much of his research has been kind of superseded by more modern techniques now, but still he made amazing mead. And so there was a lot of stuff going on. They went through England and France and found all this. But there's a lot of stuff going on in France. It's just kind of quiet. And then I found 2 or 3 in Greece, and there's a few popping up in other countries. Italy's got 4 or 5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they're not as loud and proud as Eastern Europe and and England are, but they are there.
Yeah.
So
Scandinavia has some very strange alcohol laws, so it's probably like hard to open anything besides a brewery.
I've heard that.
And I think they lost a lot of their history due to various purgings.
Yeah,
from what I've read.
That's true as well.
Well, that could be, yeah. Well, and I mean, there's also just, things changing and moving forward. It might be that they're just not, it's just not the way their interests lay now. I don't know. I've never been to any of those countries.
There's a resurgence in, craft brewing over there, so maybe mead will start picking up.
There we go. Yeah, maybe it'll follow on,
Yeah.
So, have you got? I'm assuming that you've kind of got the whole, what's going to happen first thing all planned out when the final paperwork passes through. Can you tell us what kinds of mead you're going to start out with? Are you willing?
Yeah.
You're not giving up the recipes. We just want to know what kinds.
We'll probably do a dry traditional.
Uh-huh.
We're going to try to use as local honey as we can, so it'll probably be. It might be a blend of different honeys. So what's popular around here is wildflower, and we have butterbean honey, which is a real light, mild honey.
Okay.
So it'll probably be those type of honeys, and we'll probably do a semi-sweet mead, traditional, a sizer. We'll do our one of my Mazer Cup winners. It's a lime and basil mead.
Oh, you mentioned that up on Facebook. Yeah, I did. It looked really interesting, and the whole idea of basil and mead was not one that really attracted me, but when you were describing it, it sounded really interesting.
Well, we probably also do like a rosemary tangerine mead as well.
That sounds neat.
Yeah, he's got some interesting combinations.
Yeah, I like to do a lot of metheglins. I almost want to try to bring that style back because not a lot of people are doing them. It all seems to be more fruit.
Well, melomels are easy.
A lot of Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, melomels, and we've said this on the show before. In fact, some of the mead makers have said it. There's a lot of room to hide in a melomel. And, so if it's not 100% perfect, you can still sell it and have people really like it. And that's not to say that anybody wants it to be less than perfect, but, shit happens sometimes. So I'm a big fan of metheglins, though. And what you see in the metheglin world, sadly, is most of the ones take you go for what's going to sell. And most meaderies, the easy out is Christmas metheglin, which is one of my favorites. I'll admit I love Christmas spices, so for me that's an easy buy. But it's also one that you see an awful lot of. So
probably vanilla would be another one.
Yeah, vanilla bean ones are less common commercially. You see a lot of people making them at home, but I don't know if
it's too bloody expensive.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe.
Well, there's a vanilla shortage this year too.
Oh, is there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, there's a vanilla shortage.
I guess I better hit my vanilla supplier and stock up before he runs out.
At least that's what they told us at the brewery when we ordered vanilla. They said there was a shortage, so we might not be able to get all we wanted.
Huh.
Okay.
We'll probably do a hopped mead as well.
Okay, hopped like just a traditional sort of hopped.
Yeah, just a traditional mead with locally grown hops. We actually have a local farmer who's going to be growing most of our fruit and hops for us.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
So he owns a landscaping business and a small farm. So like he has a greenhouse. So he'll call me up and he'll be like, "Hey, I got some, you need some limes?" And it'll be like in January. He'll go out to the greenhouse and pick a bunch of limes for me. So it's pretty neat. So he grows like aronia berries and blackberries, and I got a bunch of pawpaws from him last year, so I used those in a mead.
So jealous of you for that. You just know that, right? But I told you that already.
Yeah. But he pretty much told us, he's like, whatever you guys want, I'll grow. So we got our fruit covered anyway. And
cool. Yeah, I want to try pawpaws. Desperately want to try pawpaws, but I can't lay my hands on enough of them to do anything with.
Oh, they're delicious.
So I've never even got to have one, So at some point,
it's kind of like you cross a banana and a mango together.
That's what everybody says, and I'm like, oh my god.
Then they have these like big seeds in them. So they're the northernmost like breadfruit that grows in the United States. So they're tropical, but yet they grow up here.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, I've heard them described as a cross between like a strawberry, a banana, and a mango, and I'm just like going, OMG. I totally want one of those. And they actually grow them. I'm from northwestern Michigan, and they actually apparently grow pretty easily in Michigan. So if I ever move back to Michigan, which depending on what my kid decides to do, may be actually happening at some point. She's talking about moving to Michigan when her and her husband get out of the Army. Then first thing I'm going to do is buy me some pawpaw trees. Right after I get a house, get some pawpaw trees and, grow those suckers.
I saved a bunch of seeds, so hopefully I can get some planted and they'll grow.
Yeah, that would be very cool. You're okay there, though. They grow all the way down to Zone 7 because I looked to see if they would grow here, but they're not going to stay here long enough to bear fruit, so I kind of gave up on that idea.
Yeah, I remember my dad telling me when he was a kid they were everywhere because they used to call them a West Virginia banana. And he grew up in West Virginia, and he said they were everywhere. And then when people started, putting in housing developments and stuff like that, they cut all the trees down. So the pawpaws were gone in certain areas.
Somebody Facebooked us and says, "Oh my God, if you get Glob Ross came on and he says McGovern's a total boss, and we will totally go fanboy if he's ever on."
Yeah, he's very interesting to talk to. I've got to hang out with him at least 4 or 5 times.
Nah, I'm so jealous. That is so cool. I have followed his career in the digs he's been on, and I've got a couple of friends who are archaeologists. So I always thought it was an interesting thing to do. That was one of the things growing up. That was another thing I wanted to do, be an archaeologist when I grew up. Till I realized that, no, you have to get really lucky to get the good archaeology jobs and actually be able to make a living. Yeah, I would totally go fangirl if he came on. That'd be so cool. I wouldn't even know what questions to ask him. I'd have to get you on to help me. John, help me out here. I don't even know where to start.
So, John, for your impending meadery, what sort of equipment have you decided on, and why?
We're going with stainless steel tanks. So we're starting off with their 560 gallon. They're from Italy. We're getting glycol jacketed tanks so we can control the temperature, and we'll have a cooling unit that'll hook up to those tanks. I can't remember the brand name right offhand. I'd have to look it up, but that's what we're starting off with, and then we'll probably get some smaller tanks so we can rack into. And if we want to do secondary additions of fruit or the herbs, we can just rack them into the smaller tanks. I think we're getting 6 110-gallon tanks as well.
Are you thinking about doing base